I'm
And
Eva.
Hillary.
Eva.
All right. We're going to go ahead and start with the questions regarding a sacred duty. Um, the first one says, having completed the book, how has your understanding and perception increased on the process of international policy and law? So, having read the book, it seems so complicated, like the international policy and law. And it also seems like the Western world is fighting against the rest of the world, which I don't know if you guys felt like that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
I
for
just felt
me,
really dumb. I was like,
does
whoa, who
anybody
knew
have
all this
any
stuff was
ideas?
going on? I
I
don't know.
just felt like women are so angry. Like the feminist movement. I feel like they just really, 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 really want to make a change, and so like I just felt a lot of like tension from women that want freedom.
Well, it's
That's
like
how I
kids
felt.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
me too.
I felt the same way.
I think it's just like it's almost like they started fighting so hard that they've kind of forgotten what they were fighting for, and it's like they want to be men. You're like, it's
Mhm.
okay. Obviously when this whole stuff first started, especially like here in the States and stuff, like, yeah, it was good. We needed to have these rights and stuff as well. But that doesn't necessarily mean we should forget that we are women and hate being women. Like there's nothing wrong with getting to be the ones that have kids and do those special things and stuff. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like they're fighting so hard they almost forgot how special it is to actually get to do those things.
Right,
Like,
I agree. Well, I think
I don't know.
women are fighting, they were fighting so hard against men at first to get rights, like basic rights like right to vote. And now I think they're fighting against other women. I think the men are on board and the women are fighting other women now because, oh, you're a stay-at-home mom. Oh, you're
Yeah.
oppressed. And
That's so true.
I mean, it's just, we all are, we all make choices for our lives and what we believe and what we think and what's best for us and our family. And if you don't believe the same way I do, okay, but you don't have to like look down on me because I have different beliefs or different thoughts or different priorities than you do.
Yeah,
Mhm.
or try to change the way I have to do things just because it's not what you want to do. Why do we have to change the law just so that you don't stay at home with your kids because you want to go out to work? Fine, then go do that. It doesn't mean I shouldn't have to, as I don't get to have that same choice.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know. I just think they're so full of, I don't know, hatred of certain things. It's like they're blind to what's really happening. It's just like, I don't know, calm down a little, take a breath, and realize it is not life threatening. Like,
Right.
oh, I don't know.
I always
Uh,
feel like, um, do you really, like, I always want to ask them, do you really think that you know your child? Do you really think that you're doing everything? Because they're trying to do everything all the time. Aren't they going to wear themselves out by trying to do everything all the time? And if you do all that stuff all the time, when do you do the stuff that you want to do? Or like the fun stuff that you want to do? And
yeah.
because you're doing all that stuff, can you actually do everything 100% or even 75%, because you've
Yeah.
spread yourself so thin.
Well, it's just like when he was talking about in the book, um, Professor Wilkins, he was just talking about kind of in the very beginning, he talked a lot about that, how he was so driven and so focused on all this kind of stuff that he kind of felt like his role was to be, the commanding, the kind of like the grumpy one, basically, always so serious. He said so. With like even when he would come home after fighting all this stuff in court and whatever else, after he'd come home and he felt like he couldn't leave it at the door. It was starting to come into his home life too, and it was hard for
Yeah.
his family and stuff. It's got to be the same way for these women, but not even for a righteous cause the way his was. Like he was fighting for the family, whereas these women are fighting against it. It seems like so it's just like I don't know, it's just like you kind of lose your joy of life the more you, I don't know, kind of fight something so hard it's like you forget to see all the good around you.
Right.
You only start to see the bad. It's just like, I mean, I don't know what I always just tell people all the time, especially people who are asking me like, "Oh, you go to BYU Idaho, like how is it?" Like before when I was on campus, and I was just like, you know what? I was like, I absolutely love this school. I was like, I wouldn't go anywhere else. I was like, but you know what? I was like, if you're going there looking for the good, you're gonna find it. I was like, but if you go there looking for the bad, you're gonna find it too. It's
Right.
all about what you look for, and I honestly wonder what these women see half the time because they're so negative, and I'm like, how do you see anything else then when you're on your free time?
You don't, because if you're focused, whatever you're focused on is what you see. Like the gorilla clip, if you were focused on how many times they were throwing the ball back and forth, I mean, I saw the gorilla, but I didn't notice that the curtain was changed colors. I know something was off, but I didn't notice. Okay, yeah, and like that one player left, and I mean, I got the 16 throws, and I saw the gorilla come in and bang on his chest, but that was amusing. But you know, it's just what you're focused on is what you see. Just like if you're positive or if you're negative or that's what you see, that's what you get type of a thing.
Yeah.
And if you're focused against fighting against families, then that's the only thing you see. And the funny thing was, I thought, is that they were moms fighting against families. I thought that was completely ironic because you would think
Yeah.
they would be businesswomen, never maybe married but no children, and here they all had kids, or a lot of them. Some of them had kids. But I thought, well, what do your kids think if you think that? I love the one lady said that have government daycare so that I can take my kids to daycare, and when
For
I'm
12 hours
having
a
one
day.
fast food places, and then so I can bring home, throw them a hamburger in their mouth,
Oh
and
yeah.
and I'm like, that's horrible. What do you
No.
when you get
That's what
older? Your
happens
kids
though.
like thanks, mom.
Yeah, oh yeah, the visual it gives you is kind of comical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and just even with where I work, that happens with half of my class. Half of their half of like some of these kids I watch, half their parents I've never even seen because like they're there before I get there because I'm like the mid shift person. I'm the 8 to 5. So when I get there, they're already there, and then I leave before they leave. So it's just like
Oh, that's so sad.
so
Oh.
sad, especially because I'm in the baby room. I have like the 12-month-old, the 12 to 2 years old is what I have. And so, oh my gosh, I wish I had a picture of this little girl. She is absolutely adorable, and thankfully she's well behaved and super cute and stuff, and she kind of clings to us a lot. So I think, well, and we're like very hands-on, huggy, touchy people, anyways, and so we love loving on the kids and stuff. So, but it's just like, gosh, this poor little girl shouldn't be here 5 days a week, and from the open to close. Thankfully, we're closed weekends, or she'd probably be there too on the
That's the
weekends.
thing. That's the thing. I bet they should be there too for the weekends. I'm
Well,
like,
and
well,
when
then
we're
it's like, well, why
closed,
have a kid?
yeah,
Why
I
have
know.
kids?
And
Then
to
if
be
that's
honest
what
with
you
you, I know some people have the kids for the tax breaks and the money. I have
Oh,
So sad.
I have heard that come out of people's mouths.
Such a wrong
seriously?
reason to have children.
Yes,
What?
yes. Yeah. Can you believe that?
No,
That
Horrible.
my
is
mouth is
wrong.
gaping open. I can see it on the camera.
It's sad.
Oh.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. I just don't understand like why go through that pain of pregnancy and this and that if you don't even want the outcome. Like, and it's just not fair to those poor kids. Like, it wasn't their choice that you just, that you got pregnant and they came to you. Like, oh, it kills me. I'm just like, you guys don't deserve to have these kids, especially the ones that come out super sweet and, or just all they want is to be with their parents, and their parents are like, well, here, somebody else take them. I'm like, I'm
That's
glad your
really
kid's with me
sad.
because they'll actually love on your kid, but it's just wrong in so many levels. It's wrong.
That's sad.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to move on to the next question? I'm sorry, my thing beeped out again. I don't know what's going on with my computer.
That's all right. Sure.
Okay, so it says, what role did you see the Lord playing in Professor Wilkinson's efforts to advocate for the families of the world? And what lessons did you learn for your own effort? And the one thing that I saw is that, one of them, is that it was awesome that he said he was from the Kennedy Center, but he didn't specify which Kennedy Center he was from because they didn't, they just said, oh, you're from the Kennedy Center. And he's like, yes, because he was, but he wasn't from the one that he thought he was from, which I thought was hilarious because then everybody was so interested in what he had to say. And I don't know if you guys remember that part, but then afterwards they're like, you lied to us. Oh, it was so funny, and I thought, that's so cool. And he didn't shave for a couple of days, and he was wearing that ugly,
tweed jacket.
Whatever he was wearing, a tweed sweater. Yeah! And I was like, okay, that is totally... Well, it was just so funny, because that must be God's hand being like, hey, we're just going to sneak it in here. It's so cool. I thought that was so funny.
Oh, I laughed out loud.
Oh,
I was going to say the same one.
I panicked. I thought they were going to kick him out at first, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so I was like flipping the pages until I got to where they, fully explained everything, and I was like, okay, that was hilarious. And then I started laughing out loud, like, oh, I know the Lord probably planned that out. That was, oh, totally.
It was so cool.
And my favorite thing is that he even looked like he dressed the part. And they're like, oh yeah, you're from the Kennedy Center. He's like, well, that's the abbreviation that they use, And he's like, oh yes, it didn't even faze him at all. That's exactly. He didn't, because if he would have said something, I mean, if the lady would have said something else, would he have corrected her? Probably because he's an honest guy. But she said, are you from the Kennedy Center? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, oh. And he looked the part, and so she didn't have any reason to question him. And then,
that's right.
I also like the part where he's sitting there, or you guys, and they're arguing, and he stands up and he says, basically he can't take the arguing anymore, and he says, I'm a lawyer and I've never heard, the law used like this, and I'm like, yay, and the people on the panel were like, oh, thank you for getting up and saying this, because the woman caucus was really making her spiel and stuff, and they just wanted her to be quiet. And he was the only one that stood up for hundreds of people and said, this is ridiculous, sit down and be quiet. That was awesome, too.
Oh,
but, yeah.
What do you think, Eva? What do you think?
I think just with all the stories that you mentioned, right from the beginning, Heavenly Father was just it's gonna be hard, but I'm gonna help you. And even when he was doing he was gonna recite his writing, how the speakers took a lot of time, and it was getting to the point where everyone was done and he didn't have a chance to speak. And then even if he was scared to speak up, someone else spoke up so that he could talk, And so Heavenly Father was truly there for him, even in the hard times, and even in the times where he even had he had 4 hours to write his statement, but he didn't use the 4 hours. He used an hour to write it. So basically, I know that it wasn't his brain, that he was using the Spirit to help him. So, yep.
Absolutely.
And he even got a chance to speak because they said they were going to allow these extra speakers, and they all went over. And I'm like, oh, he's not even get to speak. That stinks. He sat in that room with that lady, and they, sat there and back-timed and whole time and stress and everything. And then he pulled it together. The Spirit told him what to say, and it just flowed out of his, it was 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was that was awesome.
Yeah.
And he probably at that moment it had to be one of those outer body experiences where it's you're just watching this. It's you're above yourself watching this happen, and you're like, I know this is not me happening right now.
Yeah.
This is the Lord, not me. Go ahead, Lord. Here's my mouth. Just use it.
Well, and you don't know what you said. Have you ever got up and bore your testimony, like you really felt like you should get up there
Yeah.
your testimony, and you're like, I don't know what I should say. So you get up there and you start talking, and you sit back down, and they're like, I have no idea what I just said. And
Yep.
people come to you later like, that was great. That's what I need to hear. Thank you so much. And you're like, yeah, I wonder what I said.
I'm glad
Yeah.
it helped somebody because I'm really
Right.
confused. Yeah.
So I've had that experience with a family that we had that was getting divorced, or they were trying to save their marriage, but the husband would always come over to our house because we were next door neighbors, and he would talk to my spouse and myself, and he would just talk about like everything, and it was so weird because he would ask for advice, and my spouse is a really hands-off kind of person. He doesn't like to be in other people's business. And I just said, why don't you talk to him? Because he's your friend. Like, he needs your help, not necessarily like for you to tell him what to do, but just like guide him, comfort him, like because he was trying to save the marriage, and the wife kind of just left because she was crazy. But it was crazy because times like that, I know, but times like that, like he and I would talk while my husband was in the room, and we would sit and talk about like I don't even remember because it was one of those weird out of body experiences that I don't even remember the conversation. Like I know he was there and I know we talked about something, but it was nothing that I had ever said. And it was weird because my mom was also in the same room because we were staying at their house. And after he left, like she's like, I've never ever heard you talk like that before. Never. I'm like, really? I don't even know what I said. Like, but that must have been good. Like, just like that was amazing. And I thought, I don't know, but that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, that's crazy.
I love when that happens though.
Oh, it's totally. Let's move to the next question. It says, even though the book was largely about Richard Wilkinson's experience, what important supporting roles did you see others playing in this account, and why is it important to recognize this? The one that I recognized the most was his wife, and I know
Oh
that
yeah.
she was not there. She was in Utah, and she was, uh, like
Supporting tool.
thousands of miles away. But I loved the way that he referenced her all the time. Like it was because of her love and support that I could be there. And when I called her, I just needed that boost. And that,
Oh, she froze up.
He froze, and it looked like it was in a really good conversation spot too.
I know.
Aw.
Oh,
Oh.
she's probably still going too.
No.
Oh.
Not Hillary.
Well,
Hillary,
okay,
come
so
back.
like he talked to his wife and he referenced her even though they was so far away.
Yeah,
Like
she wasn't
talked to
physically
her and
there.
just called her and says, he didn't know what to do and he's just seriously frustrated and he's like, I just need to talk to my wife and I'll feel better. I'm like,
That's so
oh,
cute.
that's so awesome.
Yeah, and it was just like she was there for him. Even it didn't matter if it was right there. Like a phone calls away is
Mhm.
all he knew. Was all he needed.
Mm-hmm.
He was back on his feet and he was fine. Like his wife supported him, and I think that's also helped build his courage. Like, okay, I can do this. She thinks I can do this. She knew I was supposed to be here. Like, okay, it totally does help. One of the first people that also came to my mind too was she's back.
Hey,
I'm
Hillary.
Welcome
sorry.
back.
Go
It's
ahead.
okay. No, do you want her to finish your thought?
No, no, it's all right. Go ahead. My stupid computer.
It's okay.
It's
I
all
was just
right.
one of the people that first came to my mind was Susan. The who she worked for the UN or whatever, and she was kept getting him to come into these things like, oh, you're so great, blah blah. We need you. You have to come. You have to come. And like he said in the book too. He's like, it's like she knew, that my wife was encouraging me to go, and that she could feel my strict no answer was weakening, and so she kept calling like, never change your mind, and then it no turned to maybe, then maybe turned to yes, and so and even just like as you're reading about when they're at the conferences and stuff, she was always like, oh yes, he's gonna go, yes, I'm volunteering him, like, like she, so she firmly believed that he could do it, that okay, like, and that he was the one to do it. So I really do think that she also was being influenced by the Lord as well, in order to you know, because he wouldn't have pushed those limits himself on his own, you know. So I think the Lord was using her and his wife to push him. He's like, hey,
Mhm.
you're gonna be my mouthpiece. So, you know, he needed those two to push him forward, you know. Otherwise, it's not he was just gonna jump into every seat. Like, you know, he needed that push from these other people. Once he got there, his own knowledge plus the Lord, you know, he was able to get his point across and, you know, all that other stuff, you know. So I was like, gosh, and she really had his back too. I thought that was really cool. Like, you know, I really liked that.
I agree.
Yeah, that was really good. I like that, she kept on it too, because I think a lot of times we're like, I I do that with my kids. I could see this correlation. I was putting this in my life. I do it with my kids. Like my kids will ask a question, and I don't even think about the question, and I'm like, no, no,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, wait a minute. Well, and then it goes to maybe, and then they're like, then they've learned to like talk
Oh
it,
yeah.
talk me through it, kind of. I'm like, okay, you can do this, but da 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 da. Like, there's always a but, or if you don't do that, or but
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. I'm already saying no. That's
Yeah.
not fair to them. It's not fair to me. I don't want to be
Yeah.
the mom that is, but they're like, if I talk to her, then she'll usually say yes. So I don't want to be that. I mean, but
Yeah.
he was a lot like that too. Like he's like no, and then his wife would work on him and Susan would work on him, and then he'd think about it and he'd pray about it, and then everything just kind of fell into place. And I'm like, oh, there you go.
Yeah, you did it.
The
I
Lord's
thought it,
hand and all.
I thought it was funny how he talked about how he was in his prayers. It's more like, please, please, I don't want to go. Like, you know, I'm like,
Yes.
how often have we all prayed like that? Like, okay, Heavenly Father, like, I know I need to pray about this, but please, I really don't want to do this. Don't make me do this if I don't have to. You know, and then it's like, you know, it's like, well, on one hand, it's good because it's like we need to be communicating wholeheartedly with our Father. Like, that's, you know,
Mhm.
we need to be doing that, talking to Him like we would talk to our own dad or whatever. But on the other hand, as soon as you're having thoughts and stuff like that, a lot of times when He's giving you the answer, you're not really hearing because you're just looking for the no answer. And
Mhm.
he's like, I'm not giving you the no answer. That's why you can't find it, you know. But I don't know. It's just like I laughed at that part too because I was like, okay, I've done that before.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know exactly what he was trying to do there. I'm
That's
sure he
so
knew from
funny.
the beginning that he was supposed to go. He's like, gosh, I don't want to do this.
But he just didn't want to accept it.
He
And
didn't
I
want to
thought
accept
it was
it.
really interesting that, how we all have plans for life, when before I was married, I'm like, oh, I wasn't planning on getting married. I wasn't planning on having kids because there was just nobody around to date that was marriage material and stuff. And
Yeah.
I can remember the church, and I lived in Wisconsin, and so there was just nobody there. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, fine, I'll just go to college and I'll get my degree and I'll become a doctor and blah, blah, blah. So I started doing that. I was working full time. And then, I, so then I was praying to go on a mission because I was 21.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, I'm praying a mission. And I got the no. I'm
Mhm.
like, what? It's a mission. Come on, that's good. Like,
Yeah.
why do I want to go on a mission? And so a couple days later, I prayed again, and I got the no, like a more firm no. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? Like, how is this? And I remember talking to my mom, like, why doesn't God want me to go on a mission? Would I totally stink at it, or what? And so I waited, I fasted, and I prayed, and the last time I got like an absolutely not. I'm like, okay, I won't go on a mission. So I never went on a mission. So I'm like, okay, that just seems ridiculous to not go on a mission, and I can't. There's nothing wrong with me. I don't understand. So, and then 2 months later, I met my husband. So
That's why.
That's
Okay.
yeah,
awesome.
I'm like, oh, it all makes sense. And God, I was reading, what was it? It was like First Nephi 9:6. It says, the Lord knoweth all things and prepareth a way for us. And that's exactly what this book is God knows
Oh
what's going
yeah.
to happen. The twists, the turns, He knows what we're going to do, what we don't want to do, what we want to do. Um, And that's exactly what it was, is he just leads us to where he wants us to be. And that's exactly what Professor, what's his name?
Wilkins,
Wilkins?
Richard Wilkins.
Wilkins did, is that he just followed where the Lord wanted him to go, even though he really pushed back and said, praying, Heavenly Father, please don't make me go. I don't want to do this. I want to be with my family. I want to build my dream house. I want to do all these really cool things. And I've seen that
I
in my
want to
life,
play
too.
Tevye in the play.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah,
was...
like your experience that you shared about the mission, mine was like the opposite.
Oh,
So
really?
I
Mine was,
prayed,
I got the no answer too. Clear.
yeah, I prayed, and Heavenly Father is like, yeah,
I'm like,
and I was
go,
like,
girl.
what? You really want me to go? And I prayed, and it's like, yes, you have to go. I'm like, no, I don't want to go.
Isn't
And
that
so I
funny
was like fighting until I lost the battle. And it's like, okay, I'm done.
I
Mine
love
was
that
the
part.
opposite.
I think that's so cool. I mean, just like it really does show that. Okay, because you know how a lot of times in the church it's just like not, I don't want to say pressure, but we talk about missions like go because it's a wonderful experience. These people need you, blah blah blah. Which is it's totally true. But I think I love hearing that stories like that because it just totally shows that the Lord knows you personally. Yes,
That's true.
Ava, yes, you were meant to go on a mission. Jeanette, it wasn't your
She
calling yet,
didn't
or
need
if you
to.
were, yeah, you didn't need to at the time, or maybe you'll get to go when you're older, or
Yeah,
or maybe you're just, going to be the missionary that helps push your kids towards it and whatever else,
that's
because
true.
well, and that's kind of like how I felt like when my well, he was technically my boyfriend at the time, but when my husband was on his mission, obviously I was here and stuff, and I think I was 20. Yeah, I was 20, and so I was just like, like my older sister was on a mission, and I was just like, okay, like, hey, like maybe I'll go on a mission because I was like reading her letters and stuff, and I was like, you know what, this is amazing. Like maybe I should go, and then while because by the time I was gonna come out, he would go. My boyfriend at the time would have been coming home. I was like, well then he can just wait for me then, and he can go to school, while I go. And so I was like, okay, like, it was hard. I was just like, do I really want to do that? And I was like, well, you know what? It's like, if I'm supposed to go on a mission, I want to go because it's a great experience. So I did the same thing. So I like started praying. Before I even finished the prayer, it was like, no, no, you're not supposed to. So I was like, okay, okay. I mean, he's answered my prayers pretty fast before, but that was like real fast. That was real
Okay, so
fast.
did you pray again, Chelsea? Did you pray and ask
No,
again?
I didn't.
What?
I didn't because I was
Oh,
just like,
see,
it was
that,
very clear. It was very clear. I was like, okay. And then I was
well,
like
my mom,
comforted, like,
I
okay,
like
no,
my mom, yes. She's like, why do you keep praying for something that he told you no to? I'm like,
because I want to
I want
go.
to make sure. I don't know why. I
Yeah.
don't know why. But it was very clear too, like definitely like no, like very firm no. And then I
Yeah.
think next, if I would have prayed again, I would have got a brick upside the head. Like seriously, Jeanette, figure this one out. Quit, listen to me. I just,
Why are you praying if you're not going to listen to the answer?
I know, I know, I know.
Right.
I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
funny.
it's funny. I just think it's awesome that he actually knows us. I love that.
He does.
Okay, I'll listen to you. You know it all. But,
So true. You're so funny. Hey, let's move on to the next question, or we could be here all night. What are some consequences and risks of minimizing or eliminating family and religion from public policy?
What
Oh,
is? I guess
So,
I guess I'll answer the question with a question. What wouldn't it be? I mean, life
yeah.
as we know would be completely different. Like how I do things in my home, how I raise my children, like school would be like everything would be
Every,
different. The only thing that would be unchanged would be church, but then that's only once a week that we get to go, and those other 6 days a week that we're not at church. I, I
yeah.
it would be awful.
yeah,
Yeah. What else is there? That's
exactly.
what I want to know. Like, what else is there to really live for then? Because that's all this earth life is about.
Well, and the funny thing is that isn't that what public policy is for? Isn't that
Yeah.
what it all started with? Like it was for it was for.
Oh no, she froze again.
Oh,
Did you hear what she says?
it's when she talks. Oh.
I know, poor girl. And she always has such good thoughts that just never get to us.
Oh no. Ugh. I'm hoping she'll unfreeze.
I know.
No.
It must
Okay,
be
when she comes back, we have to ask her what she was gonna say because we missed practically her
last
whole,
one.
her whole
Yeah.
thought actually.
Yeah.
Well, that the family has been around, you know, has been the foundation of culture, of every culture, forever. Like, why are we gonna change it now? Because I think we're doing a great job. Some better than others, I do have to say, but
Oh yeah.
like, why
I think
change
so too.
something that's working? Oh, here she comes back.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
I don't know what's
Over.
going on.
What were you gonna say?
No, if I talk too much, if I talk too much, then my computer freezes,
What does that say?
so I can't say anything. I don't know what's wrong with my computer. So you guys are gonna have to do all the talking tonight to like figure out what's wrong with my computer.
Alright, okay, we'll just stick to like two
Unless it's gonna freeze
sentences
again.
for you.
Yeah.
Or talk real fast.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what's wrong.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
And then
okay.
freeze again, and then come back on. Yeah.
Okay, so what were you gonna say? What was your thought?
I can't even remember now. I'm so angry at my computer.
Aw.
Oh my goodness. So sorry. I'm just so I don't know. Bad day.
And
Oh,
we're
I'm so
laughing at you.
sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Just anyway, did anybody else have any thoughts about that?
Well,
Ask the
I
question.
think
What was the
what?
question again? What was the question
What are
again?
some consequences? What are some consequences and risks of minimizing or eliminating family and religion from public policy?
I think that the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, was written by men that were truly inspired by God, and that was their plan. Like most of our ancestors came from Europe, fleeing monarchy, and we came here to be free and to believe and to worship how we wanted to, and we're taking that away from ourselves if we destroy the family. And that was the whole purpose of leaving everything. Like our ancestors left everything they knew. They got on a big boat and they thought maybe I might make it there, and they did. And if we take all that away, everything that they sacrificed and everything that they left and all the wars that were fought and all the people that died, then we should have just stayed there in England. You know, I mean, what's the point if we're just gonna change our minds, you know, and not fight for it?
God. I agree.
no, I totally agree. Well, and what you were talking, it totally reminded me of have you guys seen that painting where it's George Washington kneeling down and praying? You can tell he's kind of like the picture is like of him in like a grove of trees type thing, and he's like gotten off of his horse and he's kneeling and you can tell that he's praying. You know, and I'm like, gosh, I just love that because like that's what happened. Like they were inspired by God to write these things and kind of set up the country the way that they did, and I feel like we're destroying it. You know, not us, of course, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like little by little, all this stuff is just being destroyed. You know, it's just like, wow,
And
guys, like they worked so hard for that, and you guys are just
Throwing
and
it away.
yeah, one of the reasons why I think it's so easy.
change it like it.
Hello?
We're here.
I can hear you, Eva.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. I was just making sure. Okay, so what I was saying was that I I feel like um people think that religion takes away our agency. And I feel like that's where Satan is done really good at. Because like when people think of religion, they think that, oh my gosh, like okay, this is the Bible again, and this is someone talking about God, and whatever, and they're gonna tell me how to live my life, and so people just like tune out and just shut down, and I feel like that's how Satan is has succeeded in making people feel that religion and God is a way to like make us to submit our will, which is true. But at the same time, it's a way that gives us freedom at the end. But that's something that people fail to recognize at this time.
Yeah.
That putting God first is what truly matters. Like s- submitting our will to God's will first will get us to the ultimate freedom that we want and we desire. But that's not something that we right now we're seeing. We just see that religion is there to like you know cut off our freedom and our pleasure, and yeah, which is sad.
Good
Well,
point.
and even in like our like in God we trust is on our money. The Pledge of Allegiance has got it. Like, how can you say that religion? Like, you can believe in that, but I don't want to believe in that. I don't understand how people can think that God does not exist. I don't get it. Like, how can you not see the miracles that happen all around you and
hmm
not be touched by that,
hmm
and not
and
to feel that
like
there's something great, a bigger being out there than us, you know?
hmm
Yeah.
and I feel like also at the same time religion is like it's brought a lot of lessons, and at the same time it's brought a lot of confusion too.
Right.
And I feel like some people are so frustrated that sometimes it's just like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. But like
Yeah.
it all comes down to like your own personal will. Like those people, I feel like if people really, really want to submit their will to God and they act like, well, I'm pretty sure the next week missionaries will come knocking on your door. And so it's just like how much how much are you willing to give up what you want so that God can take over? Because I know that religion is confusing. Like there's a lot of religion out there, but I know of those people that they've humbled themselves and they're like, what do you want me to do with my life about like, my family and all that stuff. And it's been pretty interesting the miracles that happen.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of religion, I like in the book the prayer rug that he brought home.
Oh yeah,
That was really cool. Like I didn't know that
I
before.
didn't either.
And they were gonna be eating the fruit and living with God, and they have the tree of life on the prayer. I mean, that's super cool. Like they think the same way we think that that's what's gonna happen. That we believe that, and they believe that as well. Like I didn't know that at all. And I think that when he brought the prayer rug home, um, and being colorblind, he didn't know what he was seeing, but um, I think that having a reminder in your home and seeing that and understanding that every day is just really cool to have that in your house and have a reminder that just because they have a different religion on this earth than we do, then we have the same beliefs that most people believe that there is a God. Most people believe, hopefully, that um, that we're supposed to learn on this world. I mean, I think that's a basic acceptance principle, I guess. At least I hope so. I mean, otherwise life is pointless if we don't have families. We're not supposed to learn and grow in this world. Then
Well,
why
that's
are
what
we
I don't
here? You know?
understand. It's just like if all these people don't believe in a higher being, then what is the point of all this? If after this life is over, it's the end, then what is the point of being good people,
Yeah.
trying to be kind and generous and all these other things? Like, what is the point?
Hmm.
If there was no higher being or something that we were going to answer to, or if there was no purpose of us being here, then why are we putting our effort into anything? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, just go have fun then. Go travel, live on a beach. You know, like, I don't,
Be a
it's just
bum.
like, yeah, be a bum. Who
Yeah.
cares? You know, like, it
my
just, I don't know. I'm just like, you guys, like, it's not that hard. Think
my
about it
extended
for a second.
my extended family believe that there is no life after death. Where my mom and dad were long story short, they're one of their friends. My mom and dad are hippies, Harley drivers. Friend
Mhm.
knocks on the door, clean shaven in a suit, and he the elders came and knocked on his door, and he converted. And so, but yeah, my mom and dad then were joined as members of the church, and my grandparents, my cousins, everybody else are not members of the church. And so my grandpa died at the funeral. I've never heard such sadness and outcrying and wailing and not understanding and just complete sad. Like the eulogy made me cry, not because I was sad my grandpa passed away, but they think that they're never gonna see their dad again, ever.
That was sad.
What a sad thought that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is just sad. My poor kids. They're like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Mm.
Oh.
Well, and that's what
Yeah.
my sister would tell me a lot because she served her mission in Japan, and they believe the same thing. They don't really believe in God. They're Buddhists and stuff, so it's like you have to start from the real basics with them. When she would teach them, you have to teach them about God and the creation and whatever else, and then kind of work from there. But she said the same thing. Like after the tsunami happened, because it came and it washed a lot of everything out to sea. Like it even took graves and everything. And so when people would find out that one of their loved ones was like missing or gone, they couldn't find them. They were, and I mean, everyone in that situation would be heartbroken, crushed, devastated. But what she just said, like she's never seen so much mourning. She's like because
Oh.
they not only were they taken in such a harsh way, but she's like they never thought they were going to see them again. She's like so in that situation, Shalay's like my sister's name Shalay. Um, she was just like, I saw the hand of God in that situation because from that experience, the message we had was such, it was taken in wholeheartedly because it was something that they'd never heard before. And so it was like, what? We get to see them again. So this was just like, because the Japanese are very traditional. Like, you know, they they don't really accept new things. It's all about they listen to their ancestors and this and that, and so no one would really let the missionaries in. It was really hard to get in, and so now that this had happened, they were starting to let them in. You know, doors were starting to be opened, and they were starting to get to talk to them all because of this morning, this heartache they were going through, and the message that the missionaries had to share was the opposite of what they were taught, and so it was a welcoming lesson, I guess. Just
Hope. It's
yeah,
hope.
it was hope.
Yeah.
It was hope, and the Lord seriously works in mysterious ways. He really does.
Well, that and they had hope again, in that they were humbled before that.
Yeah.
Like, because they
Yeah.
thought this is my belief and I'm sticking to it because this is what I was taught, and then this horrible things happened, and then they're looking for something, they're looking for hope, they're trying to hold on to hope, and that's how God opens the doors for us. That's how I get taught a lot of stuff. Is first I am humbled, and then I'm like, oh, okay. So it's you guys made I feel the spirit, and I'm like, yeah, I should do that, and I don't. Or I'm going to pray to go on a mission because that's what I should be doing. So sometimes I really need to get hit pretty hard to listen. I'm doing better
Me
at
too.
that.
All of us, okay?
I'm
Me
trying.
too. You're not the only one.
Thanks. Great. I'm glad I'm not the only one because I'm like, man, God's probably up there thinking, why is she so stubborn and thick-skulled? Why can't she just listen to what I have to say? Just stop it to that. Stop it.
That's probably everybody. It's not
Oh,
just
that's
you.
That's
Probably.
everybody.
I like to think that. Even makes me believe I'm not the only one. But like before the second coming, everybody will be humbled, and everybody will know that it is the hand of God, and will be recognized. And I think, before that, for us to be open to that, that hope or that knowledge or that idea is that we need to be kind of humbled, and that
Well,
means,
don't you think that like it's happening already? Because all of the calamities of the world, like the world is being humbled, like whether it's through war or through the natural like earthquakes and floods and tsunamis, the world is being humbled, like
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
a little bit at a time. And then obviously it might happen all at one time, like one big time that it will just erupt and the whole thing will just go. But
Yellowstone.
I mean, you know, but I think that that's happening already because so many people, when they have the opportunity to hear the gospel, more people are accepting, you
Right.
know.
Because how the world is deteriorating around us, along with the family. I mean, everybody you talk to is some, experience and loved one, or
Mhm.
some natural disaster, or I mean, something that made them rethink their belief.
Reality, yeah.
Yeah, reality. Yeah,
True.
their hope.
Well, let's go to the very last question. It says, based on a sacred duty, what do you think we can do about it? Does the author implicitly or explicitly make realistic suggestions for ordinary citizens as well as those in a position of power and influence, and provide examples? I don't know if I, like, explicitly he said anything or she said anything, whoever the author was, but I thought that one thing that, like, Susan said to him, and it's in the epilogue where he quotes her, and she said, "We need to do something." So, like, get up and do something.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool because it doesn't really matter, like, how small or big your part is that you play, but do something. Like,
Yeah.
you know, whether it's, like, write to your congressman or write to your representative like you did, like,
Yeah.
do something, you know, like Jeanette did. And so that's one thing that I got out of it. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I got the same thing. I like the guy that said, I forget who said it, but where have you been?
Oh, yeah. The one
Yeah.
who came and hugged him?
Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's totally true. Like what we were talking about before is Western civilization is like taking over and shoving down everybody's throats what we believe, or what, not even what we believe, because that's like the anti-family stuff is not us, but that's what they think, because that's what they see through you in.
That's
And
a
so,
minority. There's a minority of people who believe that. Like, the
Yeah.
majority of people are silent, but they don't believe that. They don't believe that. I don't believe
Yeah.
that the majority of people in the Western world have that.
I don't think so
Value.
either. I mean, we have some pretty, even when it comes to like, the gay and lesbian movement, that's a minority.
Yeah, it is.
The majority of the people do not feel that way, whether they're, whether we're kind to those people or not. Like, yet their voice is so loud. We kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago, but it's the same thing. It's just like the majority of us don't feel that families are basically worthless. Whereas so then why is it that we're letting this minority say that this is how we all feel?
Right.
I don't
Don't
know.
you think it's because people are complacent? Like, people are happy. Like, people have food. Like, my husband always says, he says he's from Ghana, and so he has seen extreme poverty in his life, and he said, the only reason that the United States has not had a major uprising is because there's food to eat. Like, people are not hungry here. But if you had hunger here, there would be a huge uprising about that. Like, and I thought, you're right. How come we haven't had a major calamity? And he's like, I don't want it to happen, obviously, but I just think that people are quiet about what's going on. Like, the majority of people are very quiet about stuff going on because they're pacified. Like, the comforts of life pacify them.
Yeah,
And
it's
they
so
don't.
easy to just ignore it.
Yeah, like, it doesn't. You assume it does not affect you, but if you were hungry, it would affect you, and you would say something.
Okay, side
Right.
note.
That's a good note. That's a good point. Is like, because we're so happy, we're complacent, we're so busy in our own lives that we really don't pay attention to what government is saying. Now, if there were wars and we didn't have food or drink and people were dying all around us, you bet you we'd pay attention to what the government is doing, what they're saying, and how they're going to help us. But since we're all kind of doing our own thing and living our lives, and we don't really pay attention to what's going on.
Well, and I'll be honest, like I was one of those, I mean, not that I'm like in a huge position of power or anything else, but I was one of those people who were just like, I don't know, some Obama just passed some crazy law. This was like back when in his first term, and I remember thinking, okay, like that's not gonna do anything for me. Like, you know, it's been in place for almost a year now, and I haven't noticed anything different in my life. I'm fine. You know, like I was totally one of those people. And ever since this, I mean, and I've gotten better since then. I was just like, okay, yeah, like we need to do things, but I didn't, what am I gonna do? You know, and other than, they always tell in church like start in your home, start in your home. I'm like, okay, I can do that. But then as this class, it's just like, oh my gosh, like this, I don't know, it's like this fire has started inside, and I'm like, I can't just sit around here anymore. I have to do something.
Me too. It's like, what can I do? Who can I call? What's going on?
Yeah,
Where's
so
my,
I'm like, I've been
where's my
telling my
PTA
family.
people?
Yeah, I was like, I told my whole family, it's like we were having a family home evening. We were looking up our government officials, like we are writing them about this bill, and this is not happening here. I was like, and I was like, and then you're going to tell your family, and you're going to tell yours, and they're like, okay, like you get it together, like we have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm like, okay, well, I was like, we're going to figure this out, like, and I was like, one of the girls in my class already did it, and we have to do this, and they're just like, okay, like, and I'm like,
I know.
oh,
I told my family too.
fire inside. Like,
Yeah, it's like, if I figure, okay, this is my thought. If all Mormons stand up and write their, the congressman, representative, whoever they feel they need to call, we will make something happen. But what I've learned from Professor Wilkins and Sister Houghton is that I can make a difference. I say something, I can make a difference.
yeah.
And if I can pass that to somebody else and they can change, they will stand up and say something. It's at the point now, I think, is we have to stand up and say something, but it's the first person that stands up and says something is like everybody, when the teacher asks a question in class and nobody says anything, that's kind of like, this is kind of how it's playing out in the world, is we have to say something, be the first one, and then everybody will get up and stand behind us.
It's
And
true.
be willing to fight, but we have to stand up and say something first, and that takes something that can be scary. That's like, I don't want to say something that they're gonna think I'm not so smart, but we just have to stand up and say something.
It's like when they ask for a volunteer for the prayer.
Yes,
like,
everybody's like, no,
yeah,
yeah.
somebody like me. It's not that hard. Like.
That's when my husband nudges me.
Oh,
I always volunteer before they ask for one.
Oh,
like,
Hillary.
because, just think about it. I hate the awkward silence. Can we have someone volunteer for the prayer? And then everybody's like
and then all of a sudden it's like,
don't ask me. Don't look at me. Like, I'm like, before you say anything, I'll say it. Like,
can I say it, please? Just don't ask that question.
Don't ask that question. This makes everybody uncomfortable.
Including me, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes me uncomfortable. I'll say the prayer.
Well, I'm the beehive advisor, and even when I teach, it's just like the girls are like, I'll get them. It's like pulling teeth to get them to really communicate, anyways. And so it's like you're finally getting them to engage and stuff. Then the lesson's over, and then okay, well, when do you say the prayer? Oh, now my scriptures are really interesting on my phone.
Yeah, right.
Come on. I was like, hey, I'm still going to start giving out the treats at the very end after the prayer on your way out. Like, maybe someone then will start like, oh, I'll pray.
Like, those who pray get the double, second servings. Like, they get two. Instead of one M&M, you get two M&Ms.
Yeah.
I thought it was just in Young Women, but now I'm in Relief Society and they do the same thing. So now I have to so before we have to ask somebody to say opening, closing prayers, so we don't get the the crazy awkward silence, which is always
lovely.
Awkward.
It doesn't make any sense.
That's my meeting too.
I know. I'm like, look, I'll pray every time. I want those blessings of praying.
Yeah.
I'll pray. Sure.
Yeah.
I could use some more. All right, is that the last
Okay.
question? That was the last question, right?
Yeah.
It is the last question.
Okay, I'm gonna summarize quick because we're running out of time again, ladies.
Okay.
Okay, wait, one more thing, one more thing.
What?
I think we should take this to our bishops and have them address the ward in some way and say, hey, let's get together and let's email our whoever.
Oh, yeah, I talked to
Let's
my
do
bishop,
that.
and they said it's like he's not sure about like mixing religious stuff with
Oh.
politics stuff.
Okay,
And
well
so
then just
I'm
do
like,
it on your own time. This is family stuff. This is
I
religion.
know, and I'm like, okay, I see you there, but I'm coming to you to find a way around that, Bishop. And he's like, oh, Jeanette. I'm like, yeah, you know me, Bishop. Come on.
Yeah.
So
let's
I'll keep you posted if I figure out or he figures out something to go around it.
Well, we don't
Around
have to have it signed like everyone from the Church of Jesus Christ. This and this.
You know
ward.
what? Do you
But
guys
let's just
remember
say
the?
word,
Do
right?
you remember the lesson? I don't remember which one it was, but I think it was the same lesson where we're talking about having people do something. You write a form letter. You write the form letter and just have them sign it, so that they don't have to do anything. You know, like it's like the form emails. Like you have them, you send out the emails, and you already have it written, and then you just have them sign it and have them send it. Like they don't even have to do anything. Like they just have to sign and send.
Like a petition.
Like a petition, yeah. But they individually send it from their own email or wherever. But I think I can't if I have to look back through the lessons. But I know that in one of the lessons it talks about that.
Oh, Hillary, could you find that lesson for us and email it?
Yeah, no, I totally will. I just can't remember which one it was, but when I read that, I thought, oh, that is so ingenious because so many people, like with the prayer issue, nobody wants to pray. Nobody wants to put any effort into anything more than what they have to. It's like volunteering to be like, who is willing to put the chairs up? And everyone like runs out of the room. And you're like, great, like. That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. And so I remember when I read that and I thought about the form letters and I thought, that's amazing. Like, it's so easy, so simple. And I don't know if it was like the one with the ladies who were talking about it, you know, in the interview with the gentleman from Arizona. I don't remember if it was that lesson or not, but I'll look.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember it too, but that's a good idea. Oh, that's good. That's good. Thanks.
Because see, then instead of going to your
bishop, I'm going to text my bishop.
Instead of going to your bishop, you could even like do it as an individual. Like you don't have to have the bishop's permission to speak as an individual, or to contact other individuals in the Relief Society or in the ward. You know, like
I could send a big. Oh,
mass,
I could send a big
word email and say, hey, this is a form email that I'm sending to you, and I want you to send it to this so-and-so. Like, cut and paste. You know? And that way, they wouldn't have to think about it. They could just say, you could write something like, if you want to support the family, this is an easy way for you to do it. Without much thought or time on your effort. You know, on your part.
Oh, I love it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna sum it up.
Sam.
I'm afraid it's gonna cut us off. Okay, okay. So this is gonna be super fast because I don't know if it's gonna cut me off or not. Western world is fighting against the rest of the world. Women are so angry for the feminist movement, and we're fighting so hard. We're fighting women against women that they forgot what they're fighting for. We can't leave work at the door, that we bring it home, and it affects our family and us. We talked about daycare and how that is affecting the family, and that people they have, I call them the TB kid, the tax break kid. And that, and when Professor Wilkins went in and they had that little problem with the Kennedy Center, and that was God's hand in it. And he even looked the part. He had the tweed jacket on. He had the beard. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's me. And nobody questioned him. He just like went forward and got to talk to so many people because it was the hand of God. The Spirit talks through us. And sometimes, we get up, we get inspired, but we don't know what we even said. And that's the Spirit working through us. And Professor Wilkins' wife was it was truly his inspiration and his encouragement and his strength and support through her love and her just being there, because they had a good like a good love map, because they each knew what the other one needed to hear when they needed to hear it. And Susan, who started this whole process with because she's like, oh, come on, we really need you, really like you. And then the guy, I didn't write it down, but it was the guy that said, where have you been? I think that really kind of resonated with Professor Wilkins, because nobody said that, and he kind of put that in a different perspective for him. Prayer, turns a no to maybe to a yes. Keep encouraging each other. And God knows us all personally. Being humbled and having hope can change one's heart. In the United States, we may be compliant, too self-absorbed, or pacified because we don't think the law really affects us or is going to affect our world, because we don't really have anything to complain about or fight about with our government like some other countries in the world. And we're gonna figure out the form letter, and we're gonna figure out how we can apply that and have a voice, because if we all have a voice, and we need to use it, because Professor Wilkins and Sister Houghton told us that through example, that they changed a lot. They changed, and if we only change one person, that's worth it.
Amen.
Awesome.
I think that's it.
All right.
All right, you guys. I could sit here and talk to you guys all night. I really could.
I know, it's fun. Okay, before, we all need to get each other's numbers, okay? This is just fun.
Yeah, we'll do this. We'll keep doing it, even though we don't talk about school. Yeah. We'll talk about, hey, what you been doing?
Well, and I really think if we all have like some of the same classes we need to take, I think we need to coordinate it, because school would be so much more enjoyable. I mean, not that I don't enjoy it, because I really do, but it's fun, like actually getting to feel like you have classmates, that you become friends with and stuff. I'm like, even though we're online.
Yeah.
So well, I
miss class discussions and getting to know people and learning through other people. I miss going to class. I love online, works for me because I have 3 kids and but it's we're all in the same boat, and we can learn from each other and through different classes and stuff too.
Are you guys taking classes in the summertime?
Yeah, but they haven't had that schedule out yet.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
I'm taking classes. I'm basically year-round. I mean, I don't know if I'll take any necessarily in the summertime or not, depending on what they offer. But I'll be taking classes in the spring. I'll be taking classes in the fall too. So that's like, if we all have each other's information, like we can all just keep in contact and coordinate and stuff. And okay, what part of Oklahoma do you live in?
I live in Stillwater.
I don't know where that's at. Is that close to Tulsa?